Good evening, gents. How are we?
Very good, sir.
Just getting
Fantastic.
over a cold.
Getting over a
Very
cold.
well. Yeah, I've got this chest cold. Everybody's got it, and I still won't go.
Yeah. Was you looking for some sympathy in here tonight?
Not at all.
Cool. Because you might be on the wrong pod for that, Anthony. But no. I hope you do get better there. But
Troublemaker.
right. Anyway, without further ado, welcome to one and all. The theme of tonight's tonight conversation is the theme or the subject of travel. With that being said, I just want to set the scene because it is quite a broad subject, and I think travel means different things to different people. People do it annually, yearly, whatever the case may be. People take short breaks, but what are the benefits of travel? Is it useful? Do people get joy? Do people get learning out of travel? And what are our individual experiences of travel? And where have we gone? Can we share some nuggets? Where are some interesting places to go that maybe some of our listeners might be an interest for them? Because it's good. It's nice to share. So, without further ado, let's kick off. Can I start with you, Win? So travel.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, because I kind of had a little bit of a nap just after work, so I fell asleep between say 5:45 and 7:00. And while I was sleeping, I kind of got thrown back to some early thoughts about traveling. So I kind of went back to about at the age of 4 years old, and I remember. Obviously, I come from a big family. I've got 6 sisters and 4 brothers. And I recall sitting in the kitchen and watching everything going on around me. So you can imagine, as a 4-year-old, got 6 sisters, 4 brothers, mum and dad, everybody getting ready for work. And I recall this. I can hear the music on the radio, and it was 70s pop music was playing. I can hear the toaster going. I can hear the kettle going, and the kettle would be the old school kettle, which had the whistle. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
I can remember hearing that going. I can see people whizzing past the kitchen door, and I can hear people running down the stairs, going up and down, and I can hear the sound of water or people using the bathroom and stuff like that. So you can imagine, this 4-year-old, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, where the hell are these people going? And they're running all around the place. And I thought to myself, okay, is this relevant to me? Is this relevant to my experience of traveling? Because I'm asking this question, where are these people going?
Yeah.
So then I got thinking to myself, okay, what's my first experience? This is all going on while I'm sleeping. And I recall my first as an experience of my first day of going to school. And I recall being really smart, feeling pretty hype about going to school. And I recall going down some stairs at the front of my house, because it kind of you had to go upstairs to the door, like say 6 or 7 stairs to my front door. I recall going down these stairs and my brother pulling up in this sky blue Mini, looking extremely smart, and me getting into this Mini and driving down. It couldn't have been no more than a quarter of a mile to my primary school. And I remember the orchard being on the left-hand side and these conker trees, etc., etc. And then turning to this left, there was this massive church, and that was St. John's Church. And my school was St. John's Angeltown. So I recall him taking me to the door, introducing me to the teacher, and then I turned round and he was walking out, and I started crying. And then I recall Mrs. Bunch was the teacher at that time. I'm 5 years old. She put her arm around me and she took me into this room, and there were some other children playing. And the first thing she introduced me to was sand and water. And I love sand and I love water. So I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if that's relevant. I've gone from an experience where it's been pretty terrible because nobody told me about what school's going to be like as a 5-year-old. I got taken to the door and then left. I didn't know if my brother was meant to be there or stay with me or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I got left. So the next feeling I was thinking was insecurity. so I'm going to start crying. But then the overall feeling and the memory that I had was, here I am with sand and water, and now I feel cool because there's little toys in the sand, there's little balls or toys in the water as well. So I'm playing with these two things, so to speak. So I started to think to myself, I wonder if this has developed my experience for travel and my love of sand and the love of water, because I've always, from as far as I can remember, loved those two things. So I mean, that's kind of like my when I think about it, that's kind of like my early experiences of kind of like being around, or my earliest experiences of traveling.
Yeah.
Now I can go on because
Yeah.
as a young person, I've always been like pretty much outgoing. I like to travel around.
Right.
So if you can imagine, like now between the ages of 7 to 9, I had this area of probably about 2 miles circumference of where I could travel. So I'm on Gresham Road, which is right next to Brixton Station.
Yeah.
I go as far out as the O2, where we had the skateboard park. I don't know if you remember that in Brixton.
Yeah.
The skateboard park in Brixton. And then I go as far out as Flaxman Sports Centre and Minute Road Estate. And I think it's Flaxman Park. There's a park over there, which is it's about a 2 mile circumference between the ages of 7 and I say 9. And in between that area, we've also got where you got the registry office now, and that registry office, where you know where the registry office is, guys, in Brixton. Okay.
Yeah.
That used to be a derelict building, and
Right.
that whole area I used to play in. So that was all kind of like my area. And then you had some blocks. We had some houses, just by Angeltown Estate, which were you had a lot of kind of like hippies, rusters, and like rockabillys that used to just like paint up the house and just move in and live because they were unoccupied. But it was all really colorful. You can imagine all these bright colors, people doing psychedelic stuff. It looked really kind of cool. So I used to travel within this area quite often. So I've always been that kind of person that likes to go places.
Yeah.
And then I kind of recall my first experience of going to Streatham, because I'm in Brixton and now I'm going to Streatham. And I remember my brother, he took me on a journey from Brixton to Streatham. For some reason, it seemed like it was ages for me. But we know that Brixton to Streatham's like 3 miles, if that. So we drove to Brixton, drove from Brixton to Streatham, and I went to see the movie Grease. And that had a profound effect on me. Because I remember, like, when I come back, I want to be a T-Bird. I want to get that leather jacket. I want to get that stuff on the back of my jacket. I want to be like John Travolta. I want to have Olivia Newton-John as my my girlfriend, or that kind of stuff. So all of these experiences of traveling to places has given me a kind of a want or a need to explore. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is as from a very young age, I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to go places. I've never been the kind of person that sits indoors. I've always been exploring territory all the time. So that's kind of my early experiences. But I don't want you to forget the experience that I had when I went to see Greece, because it's really relevant to something I'm going to tell you about a little bit later on. But let's open up the floor.
Thank you, Win. So, Nick, travel. Benefits of and just what's your kind of feeling about travel? Is it a good thing?
Well, for me, it's a hugely important. It's not just a good thing. I think it's really important for me anyway. I started late. I started traveling. When we're talking about abroad, for example, I started late. I went to loads of different places in the UK, beautiful places over here that I experienced, and I loved it. I remember going down to Devon, down that way. I think we went once. Is that where we went for the football trip?
Yeah, we did.
But I remember going down there to with my girlfriend at the time, with her family. I remember going down there when I was quite young, and that was lovely. It was excellent. But then I was listening to elders say to me, have you not been abroad? And at this point, I hadn't been abroad. I'd never been away, never been on an aeroplane. And the first time I got on an aeroplane, it was just over to Ireland. And although obviously it's so similar, same language, etc., that had a massive effect on me. Going to Southern Ireland had a huge effect. How beautiful the people were, the way that they interacted with each other, the whole 9 yards. Not something that I'd experienced. For example, growing up in South London, if you bump shoulders with somebody, that could be disastrous for the rest of the, well, it could be disastrous. Over there, you bumped into somebody and it was like a pat on the back and it was like, oh, sorry about that, and then we moved on. And that was it. So it was so profoundly different that my traveling experience started late. I kind of want to pause at this point.
Yeah.
Tony?
Okay.
Tony?
Yeah, you can call me
Scarface,
Tony.
you know. Why's the man gone for anyway? I preferred it when I thought he was a sound system guy. Now he's
Tony Barrow.
say hello to
Yeah.
my little friend. But
Yeah.
now my bit, Mike, I'm going to pause here. I'll tell you why. Because a bit like what Wim was saying, there's travel, one particular experience, travel has had such a profound effect in my world that's why I'm saying this is vital for me. It's not just, is it a good thing? It done a lot
And we can
for
explore
me.
that probably in the next part.
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony, please tell us early childhood memories around travel and any nuggets you want to share with us.
I'm a little bit like Nick. I started late, so I started at probably around about 12 before I actually went on an aeroplane. And funny enough, the first time I ever went on an aeroplane was to see my dad had a house in Jamaica he was building, and I stayed out there for a month. And I didn't want to go. Didn't want to go to Jamaica. It's like, oh, I want to go to this place. I want to go to this place. Oh, I don't like it. First week, I was just being like a spoiled brat. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Week 2, you try and get me to leave, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I learned my lesson early that assumptions, don't make too many quick assumptions on experiences until you've tried them.
Yeah.
So from that point on now, I'm very much into absorbing different cultures, different way of thinking. We all love holidays to relax. We all love holidays to integrate maybe new foods or whatever. But as I started from that age up to now, one of my main purposes is to actually understand other people, because that's what's changed my life. I believe in looking at other people's way of living and not thinking that our way is the right way. And I think that's probably the biggest problem that a lot of people that don't travel have.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes hear it. It's a bit narrow-minded. It's like, oh, no. I said, oh, have you ever been to South America? I would never go to South America because of this. Oh, I wouldn't go there because they live like this. Until you go there, or until you go to these places, you realise, wow, they've got it. There's something there that I can learn from that. And I know you guys obviously just been away recently, and that's the main thing for me. And I'm in Greece all the time.
Yeah.
And I just love learning different cultures and understanding that there's some things that are so simple that we make complicated. And it's learning about how you can simplify your life in different ways, which you wouldn't even learn unless you were in another country. You know, not everybody has the chances to do that, because I understand it's not cheap. But I always say, if you ever get an opportunity, don't just go there for the holiday. Try and integrate. Try and see how they think, and that's how my holiday in Jamaica affected me.
Brilliant. Okay, so with myself, growing up in the 70s with a single parent family, holidays wasn't something that happened very often in my family, certainly. So we did the kind of school things. We went on a couple of school journeys, you know, here and there. But my first kind of experience of getting on a plane was 1978 when I was about 8 years old, and that was to Jamaica as well, Anthony. Absolutely crapped myself getting on. I didn't know what to expect getting on this thing that I was on. And the flight, it seemed a lot longer than what it actually was, but I absolutely hated Jamaica as well. Yeah, my first few weeks first week, because I was there for 6 weeks. My first couple of weeks in Jamaica was just like I thought I was back in another, I don't know, stratosphere, because just falling off what you said, Winston, coming out of Streatham was a big deal. Do you know what I mean? Going down, leaving Streatham to go down to Brixton was a big deal, because the centre of our world was within Streatham. Everything we did was within that locality of that area that we lived in. So coming outside of Streatham was a massive deal. So, when we went to Jamaica, the first few weeks, but by the end of it, like you, Anthony, I absolutely loved it. As I remember during that time, kind of really immersed myself in the culture, connected with family and people that and just, it was just a whole new way of doing things. And even at that age, I kind of thought in my head, actually, we're quite lucky. It's not so bad in England after all, I kind of remember that, but, aside from that, well, after that sort of trip to Jamaica and so, that was kind of my holiday. Well, my experience of going overseas had kind of stopped at 8 years old, and I didn't do it until, in sort of my early 20s, really, sort of mid 20s. I didn't get on a plane until my mid 20s, but and we'll kind of talk about that in this next bit. But now that I have got the travel bug, I see so many opportunities, in travel. I think it certainly opens your eyes to new opportunities and new horizons, and it's the education of it as well. Do you know what I mean? In terms of learning how different cultures kind of are, and but we'll talk about that. So I want to park that there as well. All right. So, go on.
I just want to jump in because we're talking about Streatham, and I just recall, obviously living in Brixton up until I was about 9-10 years old, and then making that leap from Brixton to Streatham.
Huge.
Now Streatham, absolutely. I'm going to tell you why as well, because Brixton was it was excellent for culture, because I had the event centre next door to me. It was like an African centre, and there was always things going on there. So it had activity. And then you had the market, where you had the hustle and bustle of Brixton Market, and you always had your barbers and all that kind of stuff in that area. But then moving to Streatham was like I've hit the lottery, because in terms of me, the kind of character that I am, I love to explore. Yeah. And I remember the 6-week holidays, and I think I kind of got to know Kevin and Stephen McCann. And I remember going over towards your school, Michael. Sunny Hill School. And it's the first time I ever saw a football pitch that had grass on it. First time.
Wow.
I'm not joking. Before that, it was all concrete, five-a-side.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah. Or asphalt. I might have to go from school to Norwood or Clapham, and it took me to like those ashy pitches, and never was grass. Tough ash. If you fall over on that, you tear up your knees and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But when I went to Streatham, we had Streatham Ice Rink, we had Streatham swimming baths, we had 2 cinemas, we had Cat Whiskers,
bowling,
and we had a high street full of shops, restaurants, and bars. It just looked like the hub of excitement and activity. I recall
it was. Everything was there.
It was hype. And then obviously, I think I remember being about, and that this was between the ages of 10 and say 13. And I remember taking my first trip to Croydon at about 13. I think it was probably me and Nick. I think it was me and Nick, actually. I think it was me, Nick, and Kev. We jumped on the bus. There's other things going on. And we went to Croydon, and we experienced a real kind of super, like a mall, a shopping mall, because Croydon had the Whitgift Centre and all of that kind of stuff, and they had a massive McDonald's. But Streatham had McDonald's, and it had KFC, so that was deep, because we had everything, all that kind of entertainment that you would want as a teenage boy. It was there. So here's my younger self exploring these areas, and I had a fantastic time doing that. And Streatham was the hub. It was the place to be, as far as I'm concerned. It was
Yeah.
it was 10 times better than Brixton. I remember I had a conversation with Nick, and I think somebody must have said, "Let's go to Central London." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why am I coming out? Why am I coming out of? Why am I coming out of South London for?" The furthest I was going was Tooting, and the other way would be Brixton and Croydon. That's it. Fulton Heath wouldn't even get a look in. I just got bypass straight past Fulton Heath. I'm up in Croydon.
Okay.
And Nick knows why we went Croydon.
Yeah. So that kind of leads me to
Next
my
question, Mike. Next question, quick.
My next question, in terms of modern day attitudes and behaviours around travel, has it changed? Because I think in our formative years, well, if we're going to go for that, people would probably holiday within the UK, wouldn't they? I would say, you know, for many different reasons. Do you know what I mean? Financial probably being top of the tree. Do you know what I mean? But as we fast forward now, you know, I'm not saying most people, but there is the opportunity for some to get on a plane now. So has attitudes and behaviours changed around in terms of modern day travel? That's my question. So Wim, can I start with you on that?
Attitudes and behaviours and changes. I
I
think.
mean, do we go to different places, or do we have the appetite to explore different places? And what is the benefit of doing so?
Well, the first time I actually went on a plane, I was 18 years old.
Right.
My children went on a plane from 2 years old.
Okay.
So that experience of going on a plane at 18 years old, I remember it was me and Julianne when we went to Greece. Funny enough, Anthony.
Yeah.
And we went to Rhodes Island, and I recall it well because I was kind of like apprehensive. I'm like 18 years old. It's just me and her. There's no other adults. And we jumped on this plane and we flew to Rhodes, and I touched down in Rhodes, and we had to try and get to our hotel because I ain't even booked a vehicle to get there because I don't know nothing about this. So we jumped in we ordered a taxi. No, I think they said to us at the airport, you can get a taxi, and you know potentially somebody else might be within that taxi. So I said, cool, we'll do that as long as we can get to where we were going to go. So anyway, pulled up. This taxi comes up. Jump in the taxi. Unbelievable situation happened. The guy and the girl that was in the taxi, I knew the guy from football, and my missus knew the girl from a secondary school.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy.
I'm driving down the road, and what song comes onto the radio? Greece is the word, it's the feeling. So I'm going back to that film that I saw at 9 years old.
Yes.
And it was such an amazing experience. And then on top of that, I remember.
And that was the first time you got on a plane at 18?
My first holiday.
Oh, wow, so it's taking you back to that. I'm with you.
Take me back to that.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, right, is something I'd never seen in my life, and I've never seen to this day. I remember we were sitting on our veranda, and I was just chilling, and I looked up into the sky, and I saw stars. Like the sky was littered with stars. Like I've never seen anything like that in my life. So that had a profound experience. That just kind of like, because I remember having goosebumps and everything. I was like, what's going on here? Is the world gonna end? Because I'm used to being in South London, it's cloudy and all sorts of stuff. I've never looked up in the sky before and having clear, because I'm up in the mountains. And I was blown away, and that was it for me. When I came back to London, I don't want nothing to do with London. I want to travel.
Right.
And that was it. My attitude had completely changed from this young boy that was grown up in South London and did not want to even go out of South London to the point now that my attitude had completely changed. I wanted to be abroad all the time, as much as possible, because of that experience. Unbelievable for me.
Excellent. Nick, can I throw the same question out to you?
Yeah, attitudes, have they changed? So, hearing you guys, first time I went abroad, that story I said to you about going to Ireland, I was around 30, and that was the first time that I'd got on a plane.
Really?
Yeah, never been on a plane before that.
Okay.
Around 30, I may have been late 20s, early 30s, around that kind of time. But I remember when I was younger, I remember visiting my nan. And I remember she'd come back from this country. That's all I'm going to word it at the moment. And she had this tacky, horrific looking donkey made out of shells on the side. And she'd been to Spain and bought this. And then there was like a, you know the guy that does the bullfighting?
Matadors.
That Matadors, yeah. And she had these two ornaments on the side. And I looked at it as like a 9-year-old thinking, where has she been? She's been so far. And she was telling me about the stories about what they do in Spain. And at that time, can't drink the water because it's unsafe. All that kind of stuff that was going on with Nan. And I remember thinking, okay, so she's been abroad. This sounds exciting. When, like I said, then when I got to go to Ireland and I experienced the people there, that was game changing for me. Now, because I'm aware of time, and I'm just going to say this, I said to you earlier on, it was something profound for me. So, right, this is going to sound like a braggy bit. It got so much for me that I've tried to travel to as many different countries as I can. So, I've done America, I've done Barbados, I've done different parts of Spain and all different places. And then I hit a crisis in my world. And I remember speaking to Winston at the time, and I'd literally put a pin on the map with my eyes closed, and wherever it landed, that's where I was going. I've told you guys about this. And it hit a place called Chiang Mai, up in the north end of Thailand. Well, I went on my own. And I was in such a dire place before I got on the plane. But when I got on the plane, on that 12-hour flight to Bangkok from Heathrow, 6 hours in, it was almost as if I'd woke up.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to the other side of the globe on my Todd. What the... It was almost like I wanted to knock on the pilot's door and say, yeah, do it, Yui, mate. Take me back.
Straight back to South London.
Right, but I got there, and when the only way I can describe it is when I landed in. So you go Bangkok, as you guys know, get on another plane up to Chiang Mai, got to my hotel. Within an hour of being there, it felt like I was at home, and the people. I was there, I think, for about 7 weeks or something like that, 6.5 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that, and I cried coming back to the UK.
Wow.
Now, the one thing I will say is that sounds like I'm quoting the UK. Of course I'm not. What I'm saying is I bumped into 2 or 3 people walking down the street. All that happens is, sorry, and we do that to each other. It's almost like if you've got an ego out there kind of sticking out your chest and wanting an issue with it, you're seen as such an idiot that it's embarrassing to hold that kind of stance out there. And that I just felt, and there's a feeling about Thailand for me, northern Thailand especially. There's a feeling in that area that just, I can't, Winston and I, you and I, Mike, Anthony, we've had this conversation. I can't describe the feeling I get when I'm in Chiang Mai. It is just, I went to school there. You know, while I was there, I thought, okay, I'm here for 6-7 weeks, let me go to school and learn. The people are just, and it's the people, because don't get me wrong, part of it reminded me of Strathmore Road in the 70s. It's so kind of beat up, some of the buildings are just not looking good.
Yeah.
It's so irrelevant. How that looks is so irrelevant. So I've put it on deliberately. That picture there is where we sat and had dinner the last time we went to Thailand. That's just a photograph of where we was eating dinner.
I thought it was a screensaver, actually.
Beautiful.
I mean, I was going to put Streatham at the background like a signpost, but that and don't get me wrong. And again, South London, I have so much love for South London because it's made me the guy who I am. But going and speaking to people from other countries and hearing their approach, the learning is, Chiang Mai played a big part in me recovering from that horrible time. Beautiful place, beautiful people, and they kind of said it called you, you didn't call it. That pin that you stuck in there, as far as the people that I spoke to out there, that's no accident. Chiang Mai called you.
Beautiful.
Now we say that over here, we sound a bit strange. Out there, Not an issue. Chiang Mai called you. Glad you come.
I like that, Nick. Well done. Thank you for that. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Anthony, sir.
What was the question again?
My
I totally
question
forgot.
Why do you support Tottenham?
No,
Sorry,
we know that
sorry.
anyway. No, so it's modern day attitudes to travel. Has it changed people's habits, choice of destinations where people may have previously gone to, as opposed to what's maybe happening right now?
What's this?
I see a man with a phone in his hand.
Okay, right. That's what's happened to holidays today.
What do you mean?
A lot of people just go on holidays just to show that they've been there, to take pictures, Instagram, Facebook. Look where I am. I'm here. I'm happy, and to the point where sometimes I've sort of been on holiday and I've looked around me, and you've got this thing called I'm an Instagram person, right? And I look around and I think, are you really enjoying the holiday for what it is, or are you just enjoying the aspects of looking a certain way in a certain location? Do you get what I mean?
Nice.
I think this is why I say, look, when I go on holiday, if we are going into a hotel, we never stay there. Never ever stay there. What I mean, never stay there. We stay there maybe as a base, but we're never there.
Yeah.
Never ever there. We're in the towns. We're in oil, because I want to be around the people. I don't want to be on the tourists. I know it sounds we are tourists, but I don't want to go to the tourist thing. I actually now obviously I go to Greece all the time, so my other half is Greece, so I can get away with it. But it doesn't matter. Even when I went to Madrid, did the same thing. Barcelona did the same thing. I'm in Germany all the time. I do the same thing. I don't want to necessarily just do tourist things. I want to find out what it's like to be living there almost. How's the day-to-day thing? Do you get what I mean? And it's a little bit, once you start to feel that side of thing, you really start to enjoy. I start to enjoy the holiday, because I get right now they're thinking, now the culture. So how can I integrate my culture? And I'll be honest, I won't lie to you. When I go on holiday, I make so many friends. I make
100%,
because I have that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm not there just to look with my camera or to pose. I'm there so I want to just get into the country. That's the only reason why I think holidays might have changed for a lot of people today. And that's why sometimes people go to locations they probably would never go to before. But because I've seen it on Instagram, because I've seen it on it, I want to say, look, I've been here. And even if you go to Paris, you'll go underneath, you'll go to these money, and they're not there to see the actual site, they're just seeing the picture. I'm here.
Yeah.
I find out a little bit more about the historical side of it. Just understand it a little bit, and you'll enjoy the holiday. But that's maybe me being but that's how I think people's maybe views on holidays or behaviour has slightly changed.
I love that.
Yeah. I love it too. Conscious of time, but I'll just finish with my bit. I think me personally, do you know what I mean? My personal attitudes and behaviours around holiday have changed a lot. I view it as an opportunity I really do, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? I think you learn so much. You know what I mean? I've done some solo travel now, and like yourself, Anthony, don't be put off and scared by it, because it does throw up an opportunity, to be honest. I mean, you do meet other people that you probably wouldn't meet in everyday life. Sometimes when you go in a group holiday, which is good, and I like that, sometimes you're what you might want to do, sometimes you don't get the opportunity. You know, when you're a solo travel, you're a bit more in control sometimes in terms of how you want to kind of structure the holiday and stuff like that. So that's the benefits of solo travel. I think that's a good thing. And I just think that, I know you on the phone bit, Anthony, I know, and I do understand what you're saying, but I think it has kind of opens people's eyes that there is other places you're going to go. Because, for example, like, certain community groups will migrate back to that same said country every year. You know what I mean? I know people from my parents are Jamaican. You know what I mean? In the Jamaican community, I know.
We're off to Benidorm. Let's all go to Benidorm.
Some people go to Benidorm, or some people will go to Jamaica year in, year out. And I get that, to be honest, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I'm saying, but potentially there are other places on the map that you could go. And if you go there, guess what? You might just like it too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might just like it. You might meet new people. You might embrace a new culture.
You might meet a new future partner.
You might meet a new future partner. You might meet a Spurs supporter. They are everywhere.
And you might meet a deluded Arsenal supporter.
You might meet a deluded Arsenal.
It
See them
was-
all the time.
There's one on here. You
You
know?
don't have to go that far. There's a lot of them in South London.
I mean, it is an opportunity. All right. But so just off the back of your story, Nick, when you said about Thailand, I will echo those statements. I haven't been to Chiang Mai, but I've been to Thailand, and it's a wonderful place. If anything hasn't gone, I would highly recommend Thailand because it is such a beautiful country. Then the culture, the people, the food, and it's just so calm. It is. Flight's a bit of a pain. It's a long flight, but if you can stomach that, I would highly recommend it. I also went to Ethiopia last year as well, which it was another.
Wow.
I went to Ethiopia last year, which was a massive thing for me. I really wanted to do that. So I'm just trying to work around places that I wouldn't normally have considered previously. Anyway, conscious of time, just our final takeaway, or just a quick, rapid final takeaway in terms of travel. Give me one good thing about travel, Win.
Are we talking about this again? We didn't have a half an hour. Or is this?
No. One rapid, because we're finishing up
On travel.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know about anybody else. I can only really speak for myself. I'm a natural. I'm a nomad at heart. I love to travel. I love to go places. So for me, it's traveling is like breaking free. I'm breaking free from the society that I live in. I'm going to where I want to go. I have to echo what Nick said about Chiang Mai, because it was his experience of going to Chiang Mai that made me want to go on my solo travel by myself, and I did that, and it was the best experience that I ever had. We don't have enough time to talk about it right now, but maybe time in the future we can discuss it a bit more. But yes, traveling is a must for me.
Well done for that solo experience, by the way. Nick, just a quick rapid.
What's your... I went on my first group holiday a few years ago. Great experience, loved it, but for very different reasons. Solo travel that's the most profound thing it's done for me, and it was the learning, and all I would say is I got to know myself. I'm very conscious, however, and this is what I'm going to finish on. I'm very conscious, however, that a lot of people can't afford to just get on a plane and go. That it takes them a long time. So I'm not dismissing those ones, which is why at the beginning I said, look, there's some places here
Yes.
that are absolutely stunning
really
and
nice
beautiful.
places here, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But I think if somebody's got the opportunity to just take themselves away, if ever I get in crisis now, I take myself away for 2 or 3 days, switch my phone off, let everybody know I'm gone, and everything's going to be okay. So then I haven't got the chatter from friends. You guys will be on my side. It gives me a time to kind of reflect on what's really going on for me. Being on the other side of the planet, beautiful weather, beautiful food, beautiful people, even better. A must. Done.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. Anthony, your quick, rapid. What would you say?
I just love meeting different people. I don't, and very, very quickly, people always used to say to me, even when I was young, where are you from? You know, I can't work out. I said, I don't know where I'm from. I've always been like that. I really don't know where I'm from. And I now, as I've got older, I know where I'm from. I'm from the planet. I'm from the people.
Yeah.
So I don't, for me, when you say what's your nationality, my nationality is what is the global thing. I just love different nationalities. I love different cultures. So for me, I'm just a man of everything.
Nice. I like that. And before we wrap, what I would say, be bold, be brave. Do you know what I mean? I know we do migrate to places that we're comfortable with, but it's a big world out there, you know. And if you don't try, you'll never know. Do you know what I mean? And it is a bit cliche. This is not. We're not here forever, are we? To be honest. So let's seize the moment. Let's take risks, calculate. I'm not saying to be rash or stuff like that, but the solo travel thing. If you haven't done it before, I'm not saying you might like it, you know, and you know, so just be bold, take risks.
Mhm.
Anyway, without further ado, that's us. Thank you guys. I was a bit daunted doing this pod tonight. I wasn't sure how it was going to go and whether you guys were going to be nice to me, but you have, so I appreciate that.
No, it's a good subject. It's a really good subject.
You're meant to be apologising for the kerfuffle that you caused last week, and
Yeah.
you said that Liverpool was going to
Okay.
bottle the
Okay.
the Premier League. But, okay, well, are you going to apologise for that?
No, I mean, I'll just clear this up before we end this pod. If I have misled anybody by saying that Liverpool might potentially have bottled the title, can we revisit this at the end of the season, because we are still in the season, and I would like to be able to do a review to see whether that statement is accurate or runs true or not.
Winston,
It's
that
true,
is
because
as
you're
close
eating-
as you're
you're-
going to get to an apology, my friend.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because you're eating at the table of the elites as well.
Yeah,
it's difficult,
yeah.
isn't it?
So I hope I've cleared that up. So without further ado, thank you guys.
Did you bottle it against West Ham on last week Saturday?
I'll answer that for you, Mike. Yes.
I know what he's going to say. Go on.
No. I'm just going to work.
Did you bottle it against West Ham last Saturday?
No, we didn't lose. I wouldn't say that's a bottle. We're still
What?
very much.
You didn't lose. You didn't lose
Can
to
I
West
ask,
Ham.
Well, you didn't
No.
lose to
Willie,
West
what have I
Ham.
got in my
Oh,
hand?
sorry,
What
West
have I got in
Ham.
my hand?
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Nottingham Forest. Yes, we did lose to West Ham. I
It's a
stand
bottle.
corrected.
Did you bottle
Yes.
it then?
Has it got
Do we bottle
something
it?
in common?
Well, you know, time will tell. I mean, the season's not over yet. Time will tell.
Time will tell about what happened a couple of weeks ago and whether
When
we
we have
bottled
the
it that
review-
day.
When we have the review at the end of the season, we will
Man,
see where.
he's got chest. He's got chest.
No. I said we will see where. No.
Take back that talk, bro. You need to take it back.
Anyway, without further ado, thank you guys.
Thank
Peace
you.
and
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Take care.
Thank you.